What you wish? Tobel. Arvulele. Mm. Workplace toxicity and when it leads to suicide. Workplace toxicity, suicide, yes. I was talking to my 18-year-old cousin. She's in matric. She mentioned a friend of hers, and I remembered that this child, man, she went through something terrible. Her dad committed suicide. They found him hanging. He hung himself in the family yard. And apparently the previous afternoon they had gone on this beautiful family lunch together. You know, the mom, the dad, and all the siblings. Only for the dad tomorrow to commit suicide. So then I asked her, well, did he leave like a suicide note? Do they know what's happening? He left a suicide note. And he mentioned that he couldn't take it anymore. It was just too much at work. And that's a real thing. It's not imagined. There's levels to workplace toxicity. I mean, I remember my previous workplace. When I first arrived, first of all, the HR, first day, she says to me, why do people here hate you so much? And I said to her, well, I don't know 90% of the people that work here, so I have no idea. The lady I reported to could not stand me, to the point that a few months in, I was voted Employee of the Month, and she was one of the people that didn't understand why, according to her. Right, that's how much that lady could not stand me. But I worked. Because workplace toxicity, what can you do about it? You have bills, you have children, we're adults, we must make a living, right? And then it gets tricky when you are targeted personally. That's what drives people to that level of either they're going to take their lives or it will lead them to psychiatric wards. People are on antidepressant medication, anxiety medication. People are opting to take unpaid leave because they cannot handle it. And it's like, how do I survive while working at this place where I'm literally targeted and it's affecting my mental health, and to still live, to just balance it all and still live. So it's very easy for people to say, well, we all suffer the same fate at work. No, it's not the same. I'm not talking about when you and your boss don't get along, or just because, for whatever reason, or you and that girl, or you and that guy. That's a different thing. When you are targeted, it plays with everything that you are. Literally, every fiber of your being. The anxiety attacks, the panic attacks. You cannot think straight to the point that you can't even do your work properly. I remember I thought I was going to get fired, and that was just my fear, because I was like, after working so hard for so many years, imagine to only be dismissed. And I was paranoid about it. Couldn't even sleep. And I had temporary memory loss. I would wake up and I would wonder, where was I in the morning? And it would take time for me to click back to reality, like, oh, this is where you are. This is what's happening. This is what you're doing. And when I went to the family doctor, she was like, yes, you need to speak to someone. You're not okay. Because I just thought, oh, doctor, please give me something. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I have no appetite. I'm just feeling dull. She said, no, you need to talk to someone. But because it affects you that much. And I thought, let me get them before they get me. Let me just resign. Right? Because if I wait to get fired, what's going to happen? Who am I going to use for my reference? Imagine not putting a company you worked for years, not putting them down as your reference. It doesn't work that way. But anyway, long story short, I want to say, have you been in that situation where you were being targeted at work to the point that you considered suicide? But grace, right? Grace allocated you. Grace is so skin deep. You can't say I feel it in my heart or I feel it in my head. It's so skin deep. It just miraculously, God's grace is yeah. It's like a magic potion. Maybe you were there and you just thought to yourself, This is grace that I'm still here. You stayed, and through grace, you managed to make it, and you are still there, and it worked out, and you are flourishing. Get in contact with us. You don't know who you could be saving. Maybe someone is in your case or the case that you are in where they are feeling like they are already thinking of different methods of ending their lives because the hell that is at work is driving them there and they think that suicide is the only option. And maybe they could hear your story and maybe they could think, okay, maybe if this person went through this and they made it and they are here to talk about it, maybe God wanted me to say this. Maybe God wanted me to see this to say, no, you're not the only one. Hold on. Here's someone else that went through it, and my grace was sufficient for them. And they got through to the other side, and now they're flourishing. You can too. Ordinary people inspiring people. Ordinary people inspiring ordinary people. You never know who you could be helping. Get in contact with us. Or maybe you are a family member of someone that committed suicide because of what was happening at work and they could not take it and they thought that there is no way out. And maybe out of that, there was something that you learned, and maybe you have your own grace story. Or maybe you were at the brink of suicide and you thought, if this place and everything I'm going through has gotten me to the brink of suicide, God, I'm going to leave and I'm going to trust that you're going to make everything all right. And everything worked out. We don't put a timeline because our time and God's time is not the same. And you go through to the